he can enter son Rupert Murdoch. So he was born, he's got all of those little notes after his name, which says a lot to us, especially if we've been listening to the fabulous Karen. And thank you, Karen, for all your wonderful work on the network of filth. And what those letters mean is that he is part of the network of filth. So he was born in 1931. He's an Australian-born American media mogul. So the family used to be over in Adelaide, as far as I know. So he's been the chairman and the CEO of News Corp, executive chairman of News Corp, chairman and CEO of 21st Century Fox, executive co-chairman of 21st Century Fox, acting CEO of Fox News, chairman of Fox News, chairman of Fox Corporation. His net worth in 2020 was just a mere $16 billion. What has he done? Well, what they do is they buy and they sell businesses, because within every single little thing are hidden pockets. Oh my gosh, you wouldn't believe the extent of what they own. It's just incredible. Just incredible. So these are the wives that Murdoch's had. Top left, we've got Patricia. On the top right, we've got Anna Torv. We've got, down at the bottom on the left there, Wendy Dang and Jerry Hall. These are his kids. He has 6 kiddies. Look at them all. There are 2 younger ones down the bottom we're not really going to talk about. They're too young at this point, but they've been born into this, so hey. So you've got Patricia Booker, and she was born in Adelaide. She has, she married Rupy in 56, and they have one daughter, Prudence. So Anna Torv, again, here comes that country again, born in Hungary. And they were married between 67 and 99, and they had 3 children, Elizabeth, Lockie, and James. Yep. So Elizabeth was born in Sydney, Lockie in London, and I'm pretty sure James was in London too. Then 17 days after divorcing poor Anna, he took up with these, at 68, he took up with Chinese-born Wendy Dang. And they had 2 lovely girls who aren't really old enough for us to talk about. So on the 4th of March 2016, Murdoch, a week short of his 85th birthday and 59 years old. No, he has to be older. 85th. That's better. What am I looking at? So a week short of his 85th birthday and 59-year-old Jerry Hall were married in London at Spencer House. Big point here, Spencer House is basically run by Jacob Wright. It's called held, I think. It's a different terminology, but we would honestly say proprietor, whatever, in Australia. It's leased by Jacob Rothschild on a 99-year lease. So you don't get married at somewhere like Spencer House unless you would know this chap. And I just want to take you up here to the 4th child, James Rupert Jacob Murdoch. I haven't seen any other Jacobs in the family when I was looking. Must have been looking after Uncle Jacob there, I think. Okay, interesting. So we're just going to start with Prue. She was born in Adelaide, as we said. And here again is this thing, the Australian-British media executive. In 1985, Murdoch married Crispin, an English financier who would go on to become the highest-earning hedge fund manager in London. He's a London-based hedge fund manager, and he did all sorts of interesting things. Like, he openly claims that he made a fortune of $220 million by shorting the pound and moving 65% of his fund into gold. And his actual colleague did as well, made $110 million. That's pretty amazing. So there's a photo of Prue getting married to Robin Crispin William back in 1959. And there's Daddy standing there. So they only lasted 15 months, I think it was. It was a pretty quick marriage. Second marriage, Alistair MacLeod, Eton educated businessman, Alistair started his career as a stockbroker in 1970 at the London Stock Exchange. So he's a pretty up there and to do, and they had 3 kiddies, they're listed there. So Prue, she's a board member of the Times Newspaper Limited, News Corp, tabloid researcher for News of the World. Her net worth in 2019 was $3 billion. I wonder what she's done to earn that. The other interesting thing is the hubby there was part on the executive, senior executive role he had at New Zealand Limited until 2010. He's gone out on his own to do his own finance stuff. Yep. Okay, so they have, this is the next one along. This is Elizabeth. So here she is. She's got 4 children, 3 marriages. So she was born in 1968. She's an Australian-born, British and American media executive based in the UK. First hubby there, top left-hand corner, was an associate in the New York Corporate Finance Department of the Rothschild Investment Bank, 1993. And then she married her next man there, who she has 2 kiddies to, and that is Matthew Freud. And Matthew Freud is the son of the former MP Sir Clement Freud. Now, I'm pretty sure he's been in a lot of hot water, entangled in pedophile charges, etc., etc. Also, Matthew is the great-grandson of Sigmund Freud. So they have the 2 kiddies there, which is really lovely. Now, I've popped this photo in the middle. They're the kiddies of the from the first marriage, and I just want you to look at their necks. I find it very, very odd. Very, very odd. What's going on there? I hope they're okay, but that looks awfully like squishing the voice box or something. Odd. Very odd. Very, very odd. So then she went ahead and married somebody else in 2017. He's a lovely artist. And I just thought I'd pop that photo, that pic in there, of her rubbing shoulders with royalty, all very casual, very close, and up, it's not like they're nothing. So her little history here is, and remember bringing the Pac-Man thing, because these guys are really hard to understand and keep track, but I'm going to try and give you a picture. She's a manager of program acquisitions at her father's FX Networks. She worked at UK B Sky B. B Sky B's $12 million sponsorship of the troubled Millennium Dome. She was part of that. Also, sorry, she advocated Sky setting up a film and production unit. She founded Shine. This gobbled up a lot of different things. And that was when she left B Sky B. So Shine acquired Revell Productions in 2008, along with all sorts of other things. News Corporation, later 21st Century Fox, but assets are now split between Walt Disney Company and Fox Corporation. So News Corporation acquired Shine Group for $415 million in 2011. So Shine went out there and gobbled up all of these different production companies. They did a lot of reality TV. I think that was Big Brother, etc., all these sort of different things. And then it got gobbled up. Then News Corp bought it. Oh, lovely. See, gobble. 2014, 21st Century Fox and Apollo Global Management announced the negotiations of merging their respective production companies. Fox owned Shine Group and Apollo controlled Endemol and Core Media Group. So in 2014, also Shine Group announced the joint venture of 21st Century Fox with funds managed by affiliates of Apollo Global Management, LLC, combining Endemol, Shine and Core Media and Endemol Shine Group's reality shows like MasterChef and The Island. That's who sort of did all of that. So in 2020, Elizabeth Murdoch's net worth was estimated to be $375 million. The other thing that I noticed while I was looking at this is that they make deals, really big deals, and then the companies don't go well, and then they close or they get bought out or whatever for it. It's all this big stuff that I don't really understand, but it seems to be a theme. Yep, and we're going to move on to Lachlan. He has 3 kiddies and he's had one wife. So he was born in 71. He's an Australian, British and American businessman and mass media heir. He married in 1999 to Sarah Murdoch. She was O'Hare in 72 and he's a British-born Australian model, actress and TV presenter. This whole thing that they do. Anyway, they've got 3 kiddies and they kind of seem to live between US and Oz because they've got properties all over the place. So Lachlan, 1993, General Manager, Queensland Newspapers, which was what the grandfather did, I think, had all of those, and the publisher of Brisbane's Courier Mail, 94. 1 year later, he became publisher of Australia's first national paper, The Australian. 95, he was appointed Deputy CEO of News Limited, Executive Director of News Corp. 96, Deputy Chief Operating Officer. 2000, he was made Senior Executive Vice President. 99 to 2000. He has been Chairman of Star, and that's another one of these other businesses that just gobbles up a whole different branch, a bit like Shine. So he's been the Chairman of Star, so that's been his little thing since 1995. So you got Shine and you got Star. You don't really not aware of it. Anyway, board. He was on the board of Foxtel, chairman of Fox Television Stations, publisher of the New York Post. So Deputy Operating Officer of News Corp, now 21st Century Fox, and oversight of HarperCollins in Australia. And that's an important one because that's a publishing house. So they're also got their eye on what we can read in Australia. So in July 2005, the 33-year-old Murdoch abruptly resigned as an executive at News Corp. Okay, so, but he still goes on. He's still doing all sorts of things. And I just wanted to introduce another family member of big media mogul, James Packer, son of Kerry Packer. So they started off in 2008. They announced that their company's Elira and Consolidated Press Holdings would seek to privatise the publicly listed Consolidated Media Holdings. It was expected that the proposed $3.3 billion deal would deliver Murdoch and Packer with private stakes in Foxtel, Fox Sports and PBL Media, with the latter owning the Nine Network and ACP magazines. Packer eventually decided to sell down his stake in media companies in a series of transactions between 2006 and 2008, and the deal with Murdoch collapsed. See, that's an example of what I was talking about. They put all this money into things and then it doesn't work out. And then in 2014, Murdoch and Packer agreed because they had the OneTel. Now, that was years later after it collapsed. OneTel was like a mobile phone, like an Optus type thing. Anyway, so they had to do a settlement. It was approved by the Supreme Court in New South Wales, 2014. Look at this. They share it out. 14 million from Packer's Consolidated Press, 11 million from Packer's Crown Resorts, and 13 million by News Corp. So Packer had to pay out a lot more money now. If you remember, just recently, Packers are going down big time. Crown Resorts for sex trafficking, child trafficking, and money laundering. So that's who he's involved with. Now, I'm not going to read this, but this is the absolute craziness of how they buy this, buy that, do all their little deals. It's like so hard to comprehend. Okay, and if you're interested further, I'm not going to bore you with it, but there you go. I'm just going to move on now, but it's an interesting read if you're interested. All right. So in March 2014, Murdoch was appointed as non-executive of News Corp 21st Century. So he keeps going on, in a move that was seen as succession planning for the media empire. Murdoch stood aside as chairman and director of 10 Network Holdings. In June 2015, he was named as... See, this is this stuff. They just go on and on. So after Fox was acquired by Disney in 2019, Murdoch was named as chairman and CEO of Fox Corporation. So his net worth, 2020, he's not too greedy, is he? Just a mere $2 billion. This is his wife. This is Sarah. She's engaged in assisting in non-profit arts and charitable bodies, which is something that we should look out deeply for because it's incredible amounts of money go into these non-profit And that is what the Lowy Institute is. It's a non-profit, and if you can't quite fit in that criteria, you go to charitable bodies. So she's the ambassador for the Murdoch Children Research Institute, and she joined the board, so she's on the board. And I just wanted to show you here that the Melbourne Children's, it's all about the Royal Children's Hospital Melbourne, and I'll mention something about that a little bit later. Murdoch Children's Research Institute and the University of Melbourne. So with the University of Melbourne, what they do is it's almost like an agenda party as well. They just roll out their people from there as experts in the field on all sorts of things, and a lot of money. I do remember seeing that Bill Gates gave a lot of money to the University of Melbourne at the beginning of 2020. Or even maybe the late 2019, but this is a sort of money that the government, you guys, your tax goes to these sort of institutions. Of course, a lot of people get really helped, but it's like what we went through with the Red Shield appeal and Red Cross and everything like that with the bushfires. The money doesn't get to the people, really. There's a little bit, but it's not really doing what we actually feel it's doing. And be better off giving the parents of sick children the money, this 82 million that the government has actually given this institution in 2019, 82 million from the government, research and government grants, 82 million. Then you've got contract research, clinical trials and other, they get 40 million. Then there's BCGS, which I'm not sure it was, but there's 31 million. And then you've got donations and fundraising, there's another 17 million. So, wouldn't 172 million be better off given to the actual parents of these darling babies? And, so she's a patron of Australia's National Breast Cancer Foundation, but she's worth 100 million. So, pretty amazing. So we're moving on to the next kitty. We've got James Rupert Jacob, as I pointed out before. He's born in London. He's a British-American businessman, the younger son of media mogul Rupert, and is the Chief Executive Officer of 21st Century Fox. He married Catherine Hufschmidt in 1971. She's meant to be from Oregon. I wouldn't be surprised if she's Hungarian somehow. I'm not sure where she's from. But anyway, so they've got a couple of kitties, 3 kitties. And in 1996, Murdoch joined News Corp, appointed chairman of Festival Records. So let's start thinking about who owns the music companies, because we know with what's been going on with Hollywood, with Pizzagate and all of that sort of thing, that this is being indicated right now. So Festival Records. So in charge of News Corporation, Internet Operation, The Street, and also Murdoch purchased the controlling 51% share of Mushroom Records in 1999, and the merged group was rebranded as Festival Mushroom Records. Mushroom Records, see, this is the Pac-Man thing. They've bought 2 companies, merged them together. So it struggled while Murdoch was in charge, and after his departure, its fortunes declined rapidly. See what? This is the theme. Yeah, they take over, it doesn't go too well. They look like to us like they shouldn't be in business, but it's an intentional thing. It's all intentional. So Festival Mushroom Records was closed in late 2005. A recording catalogue was sold to Australian division of Warner Music for 10 million and the publishing division for an undisclosed amount in 2005. So James tried to persuade his dad to buy an internet company worth $450 million, and it was subsequently sold to another company for $7 million. See that pattern? Buy it for a big price when it's not worth it, and then it must be about moving money around. 2000, Murdoch was appointed chairman of chief executive of News Corp's ailing Asian satellite service. This is the Star Telly. So he's the Asian, Euro-Asian, whatever he is. 2003 CEO of B Sky B. Okay, so his sister was working there. 2007 stepped down, CEO of B. So it goes on. Strategic and operational development of News Corp television, newspaper and related digital assets in Europe, Asia, Middle East. News International, Sky Italia, Star Group Limited. Okay, Now, I want you to keep this one in mind. In 2008, he became a non-executive director of the British big pharma company GlaxoSmithKline. Okay, so we're talking News Corp having an interest in GlaxoSmithKline. So in July 2020, Murdoch resigned from the board of directors of News Corp. Okay. So I just wanted to remind you of something here, because this is a scandal that happened. And remember Project Mockingbird here was about phone taps on people. So it came to head, I think it started in about 2006-07, where News of the World, which was a Murdoch owned paper, they had to close it down. They had to close the newspaper down in the wake of the phone hacking, police bribery, and exercising improper influence in pursuit of stories. So you tell me that it's not a real thing. And no, it's a real thing, totally organised. So this was a statement made. These documents showing the hacking was not just one or two attempts at accessing voicemails. More than 4,000 people had their phone hacked. This was hacking on an industrial scale. Phone hacking, 9/11 victims. They may have had their mobiles tapped. That's a lot of people. That's when it came to the head, but it was over years anyway. So let's look at the wife, Catherine. She works for the Clinton Climate Initiative, a charitable foundation set up by the former US President Bill Clinton in 2006. And there she's standing next to Bill. So 2013, the couple launched Quadrivium Foundation, so they're going off for their own foundation now. And that's another thing with the Clinton Foundation that was revealed, which was that the monies doesn't go where it's said. And what's really going on is something for the future to be discussed. Anyway, Murdoch also donated money to the Clinton Foundation, the non-profit organisation run by Chelsea, Bill and Hillary. In 2020, Murdoch and his wife each donated $615,000 to the Biden campaign. And here we go. We've got Rupert up the top there on the left with JFK in the Oval Office, with Ronald Reagan in the Oval Office. Up close and personal with Hillary. And there we have enter Rupert's mum. Now, how close? And they really kind of know each other there. Yeah, down on the left-hand corner. They look very familiar where they are, because look at the middle one. This is way back when the Queen was over to open up the Royal Children's Hospital in Melbourne, Victoria. There with Dame Elizabeth Murdoch. So you've got the Queen there on the left with Mummy, and you've got the Queen with Mummy in the middle, and you've got the Queen there with Rupert. Very close. That is not... You don't just happen to get that close. Who is Rupert? Who was his daddy? So I found this in an article as well, and it was Murdoch's Jewish roots. Murdoch became an American citizen for business reasons, according to Curtis, editor of the Washington Report on Middle East Affairs. Keith Rupert was born in Melbourne, Australia, on March 1131. Rupert's father, Sir Keith Murdoch, okay, so remember they shared their names there, was a newspaper publisher, and his mother was an Orthodox Jew. Curtis wrote, which I have no problem with, but I think we've got to use that other word, like the protocol one. Although Murdoch never offers that information in his biographies. And then we have to add that wonderful work that Karen does. And thank you again, Karen, for all that you do, because if we look at the school that he did go to Geelong Grammar, and in fact on the alumni is Mummy as well. Okay, Elizabeth, the Mummy, Dame Elizabeth. So that is saying the network of filth. And here is an aerial view on the left of the Royal Children's Hospital in Melbourne. And their Dame, She's known as a philanthropist and meant to be a fantastic woman. Born in 1909 and passed at 109, 3 years. So it's very confusing because she went to St Catherine's in Toorak then, Clyde School in Woodend, but she's also on the alumni for Geelong Grammar, so I'm not too sure there. Anyway, I would say with that crown there that she's actually Australian royalty because she's Dame. They were doing the business of the network of filth. Yep. And I feel terrible for all the children they had. Dreadful. This is what else I found. On the left there, we've got Rupert Murdoch, Zionist propagandist, with Shimon Peres, master of Israeli terrorism. Then we've got Rothschild Zionists, Bilderbergers, Bill Gates, and Rupert Murdoch. Okay? And this was one I've really forgotten about, which is, did you know? On the right here, Rupert Murdoch, Dick Cheney, Jacob Rothschild, James Woolsey, and Bill Richardson are all invested in one shale oil company that is drilling in northern Israel-occupied Syria, the Golan Heights. Been contended for a long time, and I'm pretty sure Israel won. And this is a violation of international law. And thank you so much to that Facebook.com group there for having that there. So we've got the Z word going on. We've got the planners there. Okay? Not by accident. The other thing I just really wanted to point out too is that News Corp, which buys and sells companies, especially those which are media communications. So remember, HarperCollins has been a part of News Corp since 1987. HarperCollins bought Zondervan, publicly traded company, hence they were able to acquire it in 1988. Now, on the left-hand side here, we've got two different King James Bible, okay, and the NIV, New International Version, okay, but they also do the Satanic Bible and Satanic Rituals. And if you think that it's not going that way, well, have a look at his lovely wife that he has now. This is a photo from back in the 70s, which she was probably very innocent, but she's got that very dull look in her eye. And that says a lot. That says a lot. The only quote I'm going to share with you that Rupert has put out is this one. People begin to resent the rich only when they conclude that the system is rigged. Let's have a look at the interests of Rupert Murdoch's media. This is from our organisation that gives them permission to do everything. We'll get into that at another time, not this way around. So I'm just going to run through them really quickly. So we've got from Darwin, Cairns, all the way down and around to Adelaide. You've got the Daily Telegraph, you've got Fraser Coast Chronicle, you've got Geelong Advertiser, Herald Sun, Northern Territory News, Sunshine Coast Daily, The Advertiser, Bundaberg News Mail, the Cairns Post, Chronicle, the Daily Examiner, the Daily Mercury, the Courier Mail, the Gold Coast Bulletin, the Gympie Times, Mercury, the Morning Bulletin, the Northern Star, the Observer, the Queensland Times, Townville Bulletin, and Warwick Daily News. And I just want to read the little bit that's below that. Other newspaper interests that are not associated plate newspapers under the control rules include The Australian, The Weekend Australian, The Sunday Telegraph, Sunday Herald Sun, Sunday Mail Brisbane, Sunday Mail Adelaide, Sunday Tasmanian, and Sunday Territorian. If you don't want to be brainwashed anymore, stop buying them. Let's move on to this. This is Associated Newspapers, which we just mentioned, that they are active in all of these locations with the newspaper there, and the commercial radio. So we've got press, we've got books, we've got newspapers, and now we've got some radio. So from Darwin all the way around to Perth, may as well say every capital city. And so this is how they do it in the newspaper, the same theme, and it just gets bleeped out 24/7, whatever the agenda is. Stop listening, stop buying. And this is another associated part of their interests as well, HT&E. So it includes joint ventures with Southern Cross Austereo and Nova Entertainment. So in Adelaide, it's Mix 102.3, Cruise 1323, Brisbane 97.3 FM, 4KQ 693, Canberra Mix 106.3 and 104.7 Canberra. Katoomba, we've got The Edge 96.1. Melbourne, we've got 101.1 and Gold 104.3. In Perth, Nova 93.7, 96 FM. Sydney, KIIS 106.5. Western Suburb Sydney, WSFM 101.7. Turn them off. And we've got Lockie's interests. He's got commercial radio and Associated Press as well. And he spreads all over the country. Yep, all over the country. And remember, there's Foxtel as well. So that's another layer again. So you've got all these different layers just from these guys. And if you're being fed the agenda from the system as well, we've got no hope, guys, eh? We've been brainwashed all our lives. So let's have a look at that. There's just so many of them there, huh? Commercial radio and Associated Press. Switch them off. Now, this is the government department, ACMA, that deals with all of the media. Also, our communications, cell phone towers, etc. And you can just pause it there and have a really good look. And I'm going to, if you've gotten all the way to this point after this really, really, really long time, and I really hope you've enjoyed it, if you do want me to start breaking down the other ones on this list here, like Kerry Stokes, Bruce Gordon, who's got Nine Entertainment, Southern Cross Media, like I hadn't even heard of Janet Cameron, because I haven't been part of all of this, Bill Corrales or whatever. If you do want to, leave a message down below. And if I've got enough people, I'll do it for you. Anyway, I just really want to go overarching. Overarching right now. This is not what we think it is. They have moulded your opinion, your thoughts, your buying processes, your desires, everything for all of your life. They've been around for over 100 years with this plan. I think you need to take it into your heart and take some action and say no more. But now that you know, you can. And I just really want to take one moment to say, think about our children. Think about other people's children. Think about grandchildren. Think about the next lot of grandchildren. Let's think about the next couple of 100 years. If we don't make a stand now, we've let them down. And we need to stand up and say, no more. And I bless you and I thank you and I send you all so much love.